This bag wasn't made for the gym, but I tested it like that anyways, and the results were pretty surprising. Hello friends, I'm Ken, and this is the Bag Bench. All right, so here's what this bag's trying to be. Inside Line Equipment says this bag was created for a commercial electrician in California. Now, I'm not an electrician, so I can't test it as such, but Inside Line Equipment does position it as a multifunctional tote bag at this point, so I'm going to test it for gym function. Right now, if you remember, I'm trying to replace two bags, the King Kong Core 35 large backpack, which I use for shower days at the gym, and the King Kong Core 15 tote, which is my normal everyday gym tote. Inside Line Equipment says this is a multifunctional high capacity tote, and I'd say it does a pretty good job of living up to that. It has long and short handles and then shoulder straps sold separately. You can see I have one clip here. I had to buy this one on Amazon for about $7. But honestly, at the size of this tote, ILE says it's 21 liters. A shoulder strap shouldn't be sold separately. It's just simple webbing that they're using to give you that shoulder carry, and it's just not awesome. ILE gives you a lifetime warranty on craftsmanship and materials, and they say this bag was designed with strength and simplicity in mind. Let's get this thing on the bench and find out how it holds up to all those claims. My deal breakers on a gym carry bag are a little bit different. It has to have an external bottle solution, which this one technically does. It has to fit my essentials without bulge, and as you're going to find out in a minute, this bulging bag is holding a lot more than my essentials. It has to fit in a locker. If I'm not packed out as thick as I am right now, it'll fit just fine in a locker. And then it has to have a wipe clean interior, which this one does. So it passes all the deal breakers. Let's get into the review. For usability and access in the small gym carry category, the King Kong Core 15 currently holds the benchmark at a 9.0 out of 10. The first thing I look at in the usability section is bottle carry, and this one doesn't hold up very well. It doesn't love to have a bottle stuffed in it of any size while it's stuffed full. It's just a piece of material sewn onto the outside of the bag with no expansion or anything. That makes it easier to use when the bag is more empty, but really tough to use when the bag is stuffed full. There's the quick access situation, which is a genuine problem on this bag. You have to flip both handles out of the way, and you kind of got to reach over here, unzip it across. It's just a huge hassle. The quick access pocket does get some high marks for capacity later on in the review though. The main compartment visibility is held back by the way that the bag unzips. Most tote bags come over like this and open into a wide mouth. This one sort of tries to enclose the contents like so. And then zipper smoothness also holds it back. These are all coated zippers. They're still pretty tough, and when the bag is stuffed full, they're pretty hard to use. For bench side access, it does okay. That a wider mouth main compartment would definitely help it here. It stands pretty well on its own. I do have a little base stuffed in here right now. The shorter handles work pretty well for hanging it onto a rack or a locker hook. And then it's got a little valuables pocket on the inside of the bag, which is nice. But as you see, I have to unload half the bag to get to it. It's right back here against one of the walls. And then if I go to get into that pocket, I'm still restricted by the contents of the bag. So the utility tote gets a access and usability score of 7.2 out of 10, which isn't particularly close to that King Kong. For capacity and organization, the King Kong tote is currently the only other bag I've reviewed, and it currently holds the benchmark at 7.2. And this one is going to do a pretty good job of making its mark because, as you can see, I've got my full shower kit in a tote. We've got my Jackie Daytona So's DOP kit. We've got a full shoe bag. We've got a towel. We've got a change of clothes. We've got my shower flip-flops. We've got a little bag with a gym towel and some other accessories in there. And then on the front, I've got my cable attachments clipped. I've got my full-size over-the-ear headphones in a pouch. I've got sleeves for my elbow, my knees, because I'm old. This thing is genuinely a cavern and just keeps taking things and opens super wide once you have everything out. Now, because all of the pockets are just real deep and simple, it doesn't do the best job of organizing things, but I've found ways around that. Like I said, it's got my sleeves there. It'll take my full-size headphones in the case on the outside pocket, which is great. If you wanted to bring some snacks to the gym, some powders, things like that, that pocket is plenty large enough to hold that too. And then I would say it holds its shape fairly well when it's at about half load. This is X50 material, which does have some structure to it. As you saw, it takes packing cubes pretty well. You could probably use this as a quick weekend bag at 21 liters. It'll hold a couple days worth of change of clothes. So capacity and organization, I gave it a 7.7 just because of some of the friction and the simple organization. That front pocket does become a little challenging once you have it stuffed full, but it holds a ton. So the ILE Utility Tote actually takes the benchmark there at that 7.7. For comfort and carry right now, the benchmark is the King Kong Core 15 Tote at an 8.3 out of 10. And it's held up mostly by just having really good handles. It doesn't have shoulder strap capability at all. The handles on the utility tote are okay at best. They're decent webbing straps. It's got an extra one to sling over your shoulder. That's just not an acceptable shoulder carry situation for a bag this expensive and this big. Because of the handle situation and having to dig them out and fight between the two different styles, it makes transitioning from station to station in the gym a bit of a challenge. But it does have a pretty structured base, which holds up pretty well for standing when it's on the floor or on a bench. And then because the zippers are coated and they've got that paracord, it stays fairly quiet. You're not jangling around the gym at all. So for comfort and carry, this bag only gets a 6.8 out of 10. It's just not a very comfortable bag. Even with the added shoulder strap from Amazon, it just has a weird weight balance to it. It's just not made for comfort. For build, durability, and aesthetics, the King Kong Core 15 holds that benchmark with a score of 7.4 out of 10. And this bag is going to compete pretty well with it because it is a really well-made bag. The X50 holds up really well against abrasion. It's got nice YKK AquaGuard zippers. You see it is a struggle to zip it when it's full. It's got high quality stitching. It's tacked where it counts and where the weight is going to pull it. It's got pretty good base protection with a nice ballistic bottom. And then it is super easy to wipe down the interior. It gets pretty good marks for its shape retention. It holds its kind of cube shape pretty well. I did get a little bit of a mark down for the branding on the front of the bag. That's pretty bright and in your face. And then it's not a very comfortable bag at weight, like I said. So the overall score in the build, durability, and aesthetics category was a 7.8 out of 10, which does mean that the ILE Utility Tote takes that category. All right, so next let's talk about value. At $192, that puts this bag in the premium range no matter how I shake it. And what that $192 is going to get you is excellent material. X50 is one of my all-time favorite materials for a bag. It gets you a nice reinforced base and overall pretty great construction. It gets you an absolutely massive front pocket, which will hold over-the-ear headphones just fine and more. It gets you a lifetime warranty here in the US. and it gets you a ton of choices on color and material. What your $192 does not buy you, however, is a shoulder strap. It doesn't buy you a traditionally good wide mouth opening at the top of the bag. The other thing this bag buys you is a pretty compact bag that fits way more than it has any business fitting. This is supposedly only 6 liters larger than that King Kong core tote that I reviewed, and I'll put the link in the description for that. But this one holds a change of clothes, a towel, a dop kit, holds your shoes. At 21 liters, it has no business holding that stuff. Well, I think if you're looking for a small-ish bag for the gym and only have a short commute, you're not walking, you're not riding the train or anything like that, you're taking the car to the parking lot and walking straight to the locker room, this bag makes a pretty compelling case. If you wanted to use this as a work bag as well as a gym bag, this bag does have a laptop sleeve in the back of it, and it's compact enough. I think it works pretty well as a work gym hybrid bag as well. And then if you're prioritizing long-term durability of your gym bag, this bag certainly does better than some of the generic totes from the big brand manufacturers that you'd find on Amazon. But who it's not for is pretty much anyone who has a long commute to the gym. I'm not talking about putting it in the trunk of your car. I'm talking about if you have to carry it or hold it on a train. This bag isn't going to be great for that. I don't find it super duper comfortable or well balanced, even with the addition of a shoulder strap. If you want fast, instinctive access at the gym, again, that front pocket just fights. You have to dig in the main compartment. It's not great for that. If you're looking for a tote where you can just open it and see everything at once, again, this bag isn't that. And then anyone looking kind of at the value of the bag, at $192, this bag is a premium tote. If you're looking closer to that $100 range, there's some other options you should look at. All that said, this bag gets a 7.4 out of 10 overall. So it's not going to take the benchmark, but it makes a pretty compelling case since it will carry all of your shower gear, your shoes. It certainly carries enough to make a case for itself, but that puts it a full point behind the core tote from King Kong, and it's nearly double the price of what that bag was brand new. But this bag now leads in 2 categories for benchmarks. I don't think those benchmarks are out of reach. We'll see going forward how my gym bag journey develops. So the ILE Utility Tote was built for an electrician. ILE calls it a versatile tote bag. I turned it into a gym bag, and it still took 2 benchmark categories against a bag that was purpose-built for the gym. But those things that I called friction points are really just call-outs to the fact that this wasn't built for gym carry, and yet this bag was still competitive in the category. I think if you're looking for a somewhat small, compelling, well-structured, really well-built gym or everyday tote, the ILE Utility Tote makes a pretty strong case, even at $192. Once again, I'm Ken. You've been watching The Bag Bench. I'll see you out there.